Hello and welcome. I'm David Kasnoff. When Michael Crouser picks up a camera, he wants to capture a sense of timelessness. Whether photographing bullfights in Madrid, dog parks in New York, or Alaskan natives in remote villages, Crouser's photos have an evergreen quality. They might have been taken last year, last decade, or in the last millennium. Today, Michael talks about how he began photographing these timeless images and how black and white Tri-X film helps capture the look he wants. So here now, a Kodak close-up with Michael Crouser.
I visited some friends that were living in Madrid, and they were really into a Hemingway phase of their life, and they were really insisting that I read Death in the Afternoon, and we're going to memorize this glossary, and we're going to get all the, the technical, descriptions of the bullfight down, and then we're going to go to a bullfight, and we're going to really know about it, right? So we did that. We bought a paperback copy of Death in the Afternoon that I still have, and it's completely trashed because it's been on almost every trip with me. And we went to a bullfight in Las Ventas, which is the Plaza de Toros in Madrid, and that was their last bullfight, as far as I know. And I kept going, and I took some pictures that actually have made it all the way into the book. There are several pictures from 1986 in the book still today. One from the first bullfight and a couple from the next two that I went to. Then I was completely captivated by it, not just visually, but sociologically as well. It was something really foreign and intense, and I had never seen anything like it before. There's nothing to compare it to. There's not baseball or ballet or car racing or rodeo, and I like to say that it's kind of half all of those things and one half something that you've never seen before. At that point, I was still not quite thinking of it as a series yet. I was thinking of it as something I was kind of interested in. And again, I was probably 25, 26 years old at the time, just starting out as a professional photographer, but wanted something to do on my own, something that was self-directed, that wasn't, art-directed or an assignment or anything that I had to tweak or change to fit somebody else's idea of a picture that they liked. And so we took this crazy train trip through Spain, and shooting rubber bands at the rats in the vents to keep them away from us at night, and it was quite an adventure. Not knowing much about bullfighting when I started, it gave me an advantage because all of the journalists shoot from the same place, just like they do at a football game or a car race or anything. They're all down in what's called the callejon, which is like the corridor around the bullfight, around the bull ring, sorry. And they all shoot from the same place, and so their perspective is all the same. And I found that from that perspective, the photographs were very crowded because they're looking directly across the sand. So any people that are behind the action are in the photograph. The fences with the white lines are behind the subject of the photograph. The crowds, any signage, it becomes a very complicated photograph. So by just going as sort of a tourist without a lot of connections, I was sitting 5, 6 rows up. I was buying the best tickets I could afford, but shooting down into the sand, and the sand gave me a more neutral backdrop, and the fact that I was using 300 and 600 millimeter lenses compressed everything to the point that it didn't really look as though I were on top necessarily. It flattened everything out, but I got this wonderful, sometimes the arc of the ring, but mostly just the sand, which makes it a really good backdrop for the action that you're seeing. I was completely taken by this idea that I could shoot some film and not have to send it off, with my dad when he went to work, and that somehow magically prints would come back, but that I could actually crack open, at that time it was the Instamatic film, that I could actually crack that open and do a process by which I was going to see what I had done. And I'll never forget watching those first prints, show themselves, and I was just, it was the most magical thing to me. And I still do it. I'm still fascinated by the process. I work in the darkroom almost every day, and that part of it is still really fascinating to me. I'm working on this series about dogs in New York and Minneapolis, and the idea that I can shoot 10 rolls at Tompkins Square Park, come home, process the film, and start printing something that I just saw, a couple hours ago, is really exciting to me. I've never lost my fascination with it. what I noticed about the aesthetic of the bullfights was that it hadn't changed a lot in the last 100 years. I mean, since the dawn of photography, there has been bullfight photography, and so there are a lot of photographs to look at from the early days of photography, and the aesthetic itself has remained pretty much the same. I mean, the outfits have changed a little, but still in most bull rings you don't see any scoreboard, there's no loudspeaker, there's no instant replay, there's no corporate signage in the arena, and I found that very appealing, and I started to see that in some of my photographs a timeless quality, a timeless aesthetic that you could compare to photographs of before. And I wasn't trying to make old-fashioned photographs, but photographs without time, photographs that didn't suggest popular culture or the 1980s or the 1990s or 2000. I don't try to spin this subject in any particular political direction. So what I'm showing is what you see. And I have a feeling that some people will find this book a romanticizing of the subject, but I really don't think it is. It's romantic enough. It's just showing it. And so what I think that they'll see is perhaps that there's a beauty to it that they didn't expect. I mean, I show a lot of the brutality of it as well, and I'm not somebody that pretends it's not brutal, it simply is. But it's one of the sort of oddly, morbidly attractive things about this is somebody once called it irresistible but indefensible. When I was a senior in high school, I was advised not to get into photography by a commercial photographer who was quite successful. And 10 years later, I went to his studio and bought his dry mount press from him. I saw it advertised, and when I introduced myself at the door, he said, "You didn't listen to me. What are you doing here?" And so, you know, I would never tell somebody not to do it, not to become a photographer, because if it's in you, I don't really think you can help it, you know. But it's not a simple life. It's not all, you know, that easy to make a living as a photographer. But you know, if it's in you and you have to do it. And so Tri-X to me is like, it's like comfortable jeans or something. It's like your clothes. It's like the house that you live in, you know where you could walk around it with your eyes closed. And that's kind of how I feel about Tri-X film. I just know it so well, and I'm thrilled to keep using it. It's great that it's here for me and it's not going away. As far as I understand from talking to the people at Kodak, they're still really behind black and white and really behind black and white photography. Yeah, but it's what I love to do. I mean, it's kind of like some people like to go to the gym, like you said. You know, I like to take pictures, and it's a real education for me, all these projects. I mean, I have this this curiosity about the world that only seems to be quenched by taking pictures. I mean, this series in the West, it's photographs, yes, but it's also meeting people that live a different kind of life. And it's the same in the portrait series in Alaska. I mean, without my camera, I don't know that I would have access to small native fishing villages in Alaska. But when I'm there and I'm making pictures of these people, they're very proud of their history, and they're proud of their dance regalia, and they're very proud to have their picture taken, and so they're proud to have me involved in their life. And what an education for me. I don't really like the word timeless in English because it's kind of come to be something else. It doesn't really mean without time. It's just, we think of something else when we hear timeless. And so being sort of interested in these Spanish subjects, I just decided that the phrase sin tiempo made sense to me. And we'll see, maybe someday it'll be a full-blown series.